All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack 2023 Fantasy Baseball Outliers shows. We're going to be doing the second base position. And to introduce ourselves, I'm Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. Helping me out here is Austin Cull, new contributor to Fantasy Six Pack. You're going to see his face all over our YouTube channel here coming up soon. And make sure you check out his own show over here on YouTube, the Fantasy Baseball on Deck show, and it's good stuff. He covers a lot of ESPN related talk and strategies over there. So I'll put the link in the show notes so you guys can check that out for sure. But ready to do some second base, Austin?
I'm ready. Thanks for the promo.
All right, man. So we're going to be talking about some outliers at the second base position. These are guys that are kind of ranked around or well below the 150 range on certain sites, or ADP is outside of the 150 range. And so we're going to start off here with a guy that I was actually surprised you picked him, and I was like, there's no way. And I went and looked, and a couple of sites got him projected outside the 150 range. But Jazz Chisholm, this guy was a monster last year when he was on the field. Injuries really stunted his production last season, unfortunately. But when he was on the field, he was winning you lots of money in fantasy baseball. So, injuries not a concern for you in 2023, I guess?
No, and the thing is like Jazz is such a deep. I could talk about Jazz for an hour. There's so many underlying nuance with Jazz and like why he's in the position that he's in. All right, Jazz production of the Zach Gallen trade between he was originally an Arizona Diamondback, now a Miami Marlin. It's just rare that you see like super freak athletes, right? But then also the super freak athletes that like still have not figured out how to use their body in space. So like I've seen Jazz dive for balls into the fifth row of the stands, like playing the second base spot. All right. Like you just see him expose his ribs across like some really hard bleachers enough, and to say to yourself, like, I don't know if this guy's like sustainable, but man, is he freaking good when he's on the field. So I think the Marlins did him a service in protecting himself. They actually moved him to center field. He's gonna be full-time center fielder upcoming this year. They announced that this past week. So from an injury perspective, they're doing the same thing with Tatis in San Diego. Just put him in the outfield. There's less things for him to run into out there. So I get run into people. He can run into people, but as long as he's calling people off, like I think that he'll be fine. And he said that he has full confidence, and it doesn't surprise me that he would say that he has full confidence to succeed.
Yeah, didn't he say he's going to win a Gold Glove out in center field if they move him?
Yeah,
like he's all right, dude. Come on,
dude. I bet you that he could earn a 10-day contract in the NBA tomorrow. Like just like with how explosive.
He is a super freak athlete. So yeah, I hope he stays healthy, man. If he does, and he can actually get upwards of like 600 plate appearances, we're talking, 30-30 type potential.
Oh, that's the like the floor for me, honestly. Like with an entire season of production and the amount of at bats he's going to get, he absolutely is an MVP potential. It's just what's working in our favor as fantasy baseball players is that he works for technically works for the small market Miami Marlins, and he got hurt last year. And he hangs out with Charlie Sheen in his free time, and he gets benched by old white man Donnie Baseball, because Donnie Baseball doesn't know how to deal with 22-year-old Gen Z, like a super expressive blue hair, like talk back to you sort of thing. So like by the time he got hurt, he was a part-time player essentially. They were never throwing him against left-handers. He was the leader on the team in RBIs as the leadoff hitter. He was on pace for 36 home runs and 30 stolen bases as a part-time player like last season. So I have every bit of all of the faith in Jazz. It's hard to it's weird to see an MVP caliber player this far down in the draft, and given that he should be up to full speed and full health. I think it's a no-brainer. And some sites have them in the top 40. Some sites have them at super late.
I wouldn't be surprised. Now, we are recording these just for everybody's information. This is late January. I would not be shocked at all if he's healthy, starts killing it in the spring. Every single site and all the ADP will catch up come mid-March, and he will be going in the first 3-4 rounds,
He'll
which is
absolutely
where he should go.
Yeah, no matter the
So
format, he'll climb. Just the fact that like last season he averaged over a double per hit.
that's
At
absolutely
2.1
nuts.
total bases per hit. And he's stealing. Like he is just a one man wrecking crew. It's just a matter of can he stay on the field? Can we protect him from himself because he's so explosive?
And I've heard Miami's talking about signing Yuri Gurriel. That'd be a nice line of protection for him for sure. So let's move on here to another player, same division, Vaughn Grissom from the Atlanta Braves. Rookie last season, came up and man, he played very well. I mean, didn't light the world on fire, but played very well. Earned himself a spot in that lineup. So tell me a little bit about him and why you like him this season.
Yeah, and came up with a team that was behind, like underperforming at the time, lots of stress, and also just immediately got plugged in at a position that he's never played before. So just naturally was told to play second base to fill in for Ozzie Albies, and did an incredible job defensively. Mm-hmm. He is a shortstop, like at heart. Throughout his career, he's been a shortstop. That's what he's been trained to do, and hitting a 291 average just coming into the league, stealing some bases, just doing everything that was ever asked of him, sort of thing. This is Russell in the background. I think that he's around an 18 home run guy. But just the concept of him having such a high batting average and on base percentage. He had a 353 on base percentage this past year as a rookie at the bottom of the lineup. And he'll be surrounded by mammoths only in that lineup. The Atlanta Braves will score, will be a top 3 offense in baseball this year, as expected. He's only hitting 1.5. He's only getting around 1.5 bases per hit, so his total bases around a single and a half. You'd like to see a little more, but the kid's 22 years old. He'll be 22 to start the season. You'd like to think the power numbers are only going to go up from there. The plate discipline's there. The average is there. He's going to naturally get bigger, be allowed to eat more. As we go into the season, I think that he's really got a lot of potential to do a good job. And again, I think that there's no way I can see him with Michael Harris and the contract that they gave him politically. He's never going to be anywhere between the 1 and the 5 slots. So I'm kind of hoping that they do the old St. Louis Cardinals thing where they will throw him in at the 9 hole, being one of their best average guys, and then just Acuna being right behind him and maybe being able to earn a couple more of those bonus points. Earning some runs maybe behind with some MVP candidates right behind.
I was gonna say right now he's projected 9th, but in that lineup, that's not even bad.
It's not
one
bad.
Of those lineups where being bottom may not be such a terrible thing.
Some of those guys being a 9-hole hitter, that's kind of a death sentence because they're just not gonna get to 500 bats just by math and volume. But the fact that this lineup scores so many runs per year, and just the fact that he is literally if he gets on base, say that he comes up, he gets on base with 1 or 2 outs, whatever, he's got only MVP candidates. Not Michael Harris, I don't think he's an MVP candidate, really, really quality player. But, he's got Acuna coming up, and then 2 places after that, Austin Riley, who I think is the most undervalued player in baseball, and then Matt Olson, he's going to have.
Yeah, he's gonna get some runs scored for sure from that position. Yeah. So, all right, here let's move on to a little bit of an older player. We haven't touched on a lot of these guys, but Trevor Story of the now Boston Red Sox. I mean, this guy was a perennial all-star, a superstar, stud, elite player, whatever you want to call him. Has really fallen off, and injuries have been a big reason why. But you're looking for a bit of a bounce back this season, which it's funny. If you're looking at the screen, one projection numbers say they don't agree, and the other ones kind of agree with you. So just give you reasons why.
Yeah, so Trevor Story, 3 out of the last 5 seasons has finished as a top 3 shortstop, and he'll be back to shortstop. He'll be the full-time shortstop coming into this Boston Red Sox team that just parted ways with Xander Bogaerts. I think his overall ceiling for a player that's ranked as low as Trevor Story is, I think he's at 267 currently as an ADP in ESPN. I know that'll kind of vary across formats, but he elected not to have Tommy John, so he's having a UCL bracing procedure, so he's going to be out 4 to 6 months. He might be back. Let's just say like he gets back healthy, has time to ramp up. He gets back in July. Well, I mean, ideally, we're drafting winning teams like that are going to be able to operate without him. This is a draft and stash sort of situation on your IL immediately, but it's just rare that you have opportunities to draft guys that are super highly touted, all-star, and potential really MVP caliber players that late in the draft. I'm never really hesitant to go after batters in this situation. So they have a ton of money wrapped up into him. They're not going to throw him out there too early. They're going to throw him out there when he's ready. But really, that Red Sox lineup, by the time he gets there, they're not going to be a winning roster. There's not going to be a ton of pressure. When he got signed, there was a ton of politics, stress on him from the fact that Xander Bogaerts wasn't going to get re-signed. And there's just a lot of negative energy towards Trevor Story to produce immediately and often and fill in the blank. So I think that he has every opportunity. He's proven it. He's only 30 years old. And you said older guys, like he's just been in the league since he was 22, 23 years old. Like he's been around forever. He's been one of the most consistent players in baseball. Colorado, obviously the thin air out there helped him produce. But even last season, which was considered a down year and kind of injury riddled, he still averaged 1.82 total bases per hit, which were exactly on par, the same numbers as Paul Goldschmidt, who won the NL MVP, and Nolan Arenado, who was just as plenty good. So like his numbers, his production per hit at the plate is still up there. It's just a matter if he wasn't available last year, but that works in our favor given how late in the draft he is. And I really think it's quite the steal given what's around him. No one else is going to provide you the ceiling that Trevor Story does in that situation. We are always willing to wait a couple months to get true value with our draft picks.
It is tough for me personally to draft a guy if you don't have the IL spot who's going to be out 2 months.
Yeah, if you don't have an IL spot,
then I don't think but if you've got an IL spot, he's absolutely a draft and stash type player. So let's finish off here with another player from your Cincinnati Reds, and we're going to be talking about Mr. Jonathan India. Came out like gangbusters in rookie season, man. Was talking, everybody was talking he's going to be one of the next elite guys. And then last season, struggled, got injured. Now, like, projections are sort of in between, those two seasons, which makes sense. But, what are we thinking for India as an outlier type player that you can target?
Yeah, and everything about Jonathan India, his rookie year hit 287 and had two MVP candidates behind him, and early in the year when they were healthy, being Nick Castellanos and Jesse Winker, and then even behind them with Joey Votto coming out of the woodwork and hitting 36 home runs. That team just scored runs. They were so fun to watch with Jonathan India playing every single day, being healthy in that number one spot in the batting order. He just benefited a ton from a hitter friendly ballpark. Just getting on base and getting knocked around. And I think that last year, a combination of being hurt and not having, those that firepower behind him, was really detrimental to Jonathan India. But again, that only benefits us as drafters. Jonathan India is not someone that I'm necessarily going to super sought after, but just given the fact that he's going to play every single day, I think he's the second best bat in their lineup from a ceiling perspective. He's going to get the most at bats on the team. If he's healthy, he's 28 years old. Like, he's going to play every single day. And just for the value of where he's at in the draft, and given how scarce second base is, which second base is the most scarce position of any this season, like, I think that Jonathan India is a great value. Depending on the site, he's between 157 and 250 essentially.
Yeah, it's pretty drastic where he's going. So if you can get him super late, and I gotta correct you, but he's actually 26. You said 28, but so he's hitting that, he's hitting that prime. Like, he's just coming into it, and this guy came up from Double-A. Like, he played a little Triple-A last year, trying to come back from the injury. But you gotta that jump from Double A to the majors and what he did that first season, that is amazing. And
A lot
that
of the
was
prospects.
and that was also in between so he didn't even have the COVID year. He just came up. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
honestly, most of the prospects at this point, if they have any pedigree behind them and expectations, a lot of times will go straight from Double A.
That's
They're
true.
open
That's
to
true.
the
But
majors,
not to
yeah,
but to do it from 2019 to 2021 because there was no COVID, there was no minor league baseball in 2020. To have a whole year of no baseball and then do that, what he did in 2021, that's pretty amazing. And like that just makes me like a little more interested seeing exactly where he's going in drafts.
yeah.
But all right, man. So that is it for our second base outliers show. I want to thank you for helping out. And guys, just want to remind you, hit that subscribe button and make sure you tune in for more of our shows coming up. And we're gonna have lots coming out here this fantasy baseball draft season. So tune in. See y'all later.
64 days till opening day. Bye, guys.